got my bibs on. Good evening, Stephen.
Good evening, Joe.
And welcome to Bitches in the Buckle. Grab your barbecue and get your biz on. We have a very special show for you tonight, and something that's going to hopefully get Stephen to the heart here. We're going to actually grill him a little bit on how he became a pagan. But first off and foremost, we want to go ahead and send out a birthday greeting to Danielle Loveless from your friend at University of Central Oklahoma. She wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Your birthday is on October 31st, so it's not quite there yet. So ahead of time, happy birthday to you. So first off, how was your week?
My week was a roller coaster. Ups and downs, ins and outs. For instance, excuse me, I got a ticket on my way back from Moore. I had to go to Moore on Thursday of this week, and got a ticket. And so that was unpleasant. Let's see. Let's see, what else is going on?
There's a lot of speed traps there, by the way. So for those who are out driving in more, it also doesn't help to hurt to go to the thing if you admit to speeding. Like, say, for example, if they caught you going a little bit faster, but you weren't going as fast as they said you were, then you can actually take it into the court and possibly get it brought down or even written off.
Really?
Well, change in distance over the change in time, depending on where they stopped you.
My head hurts.
Oops.
Yeah, so that happened. So that was a bad thing. We in my house are now down to 3 people.
Yay!
So we're less one person and less 2 very big dogs in my house. So that's a blessing.
Yeah, I bet. Get your living room back, right?
Got my living room back. I'm not a dog person, which is strange. I am a cat person. I'm an animal person, but some animals I like to visit and have them go home afterwards. And some animals I like to stick around. For instance, cats. I love cats. Cats can stay around all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Love them. Dogs, on the other hand, I love dogs, but they're like children. They're great to have around for a little while and to visit for a little while, and then you want them to go away. And our housemate was there for a little over a month, and so her and her 2 big dogs were there for a little over a month. And when they left, even though I love the housemate, I think she's a wonderful person. I was glad to see her dogs gone. So that happened this week. I'm on Ornum now. I finally finished up all of the stuff that all the paperwork dealing with that last night.
How'd you test?
I did my test, and I wasn't prepared to do my test, and so it was kind of a random reading. Her cards were the Knight of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles, and the Ace of Cups. And I wasn't prepared to do a reading, and so I wasn't in the reader headspace. And so I just kind of told her to follow her heart, follow her passion, follow her dreams and goals. Know that there's a learning curve, a long learning curve, but if you do what you want to do, then eventually it will lead to long-term growth, health, wealth, and stability. So anyway, that was, I mean, I know that when you did your test, you brought the test student here as well.
Well, that was just, as you say, the slip of the card.
Wow. Yeah. I just kind of gave a generalized reading, and I said I hope I was helpful, and she just kind of gave a middle sure. So, you know, did that. And so you can find me on Ornum, and we'll do some plugging at the end of the show. But Ornum, Ornum.com is a place where both Joe and I are now on. And so that happened this week, so that was good news.
Excellent.
And that's pretty much it. All that I can talk about right now. I have still some irons in the cauldron, but we'll see how those pan out. So how was your week?
My week was busy, as school is still fully in session, and we're coming up to the last midterm. And trigonometry is going to probably kick my tush, but hey, it's all good. We went over the review today, and my head hurts. Let's just say I'm gonna be glad when it's over. But you know, hey. The other thing is there is the fall break coming up. I get to take Friday off.
Right.
So. No matter how well or bad I do on the exam, yeah, I get a break. And let's see, I'm going to be having on Thursday. Also for those who are turning in on Thursday, October 16th, it's Karina's birthday. There's an official birthday this week coming up. But, so happy birthday to you, Karina, if you're listening in. At my training, I will be finishing up my level 1 for Reiki, so I'm kind of excited on that.
Very good. Congratulations. Sidebar, it's my brother's birthday today, so happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday, Steven's brother.
Douglas. Yes. And I have to call him after BiBs is over this evening to wish him a happy birthday. He lives out in California, so even if we finish at midnight, it'll still be his birthday. So I
have to do it. I really have to. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Douglas. Happy birthday to you. Ba-doop-be-doop. Anyway, so with all of this on the thing, we are, I have a couple questions that have been sent to from John McEwen.
Really?
Big John has a couple of them, and Alyssa has sent you a question.
Okay.
So when we get to your interview, I hope you're excited to hear what they have to say as well.
I am excited, nervous, and want to vomit.
There will be no vomiting at the same time. However, nonetheless, we will go ahead and get this running. As far as any news of the week, what do you have? You have some news. News. I kept trying to find news, but the news that I had found was old news from 2011, and trust me, you don't want to hear it.
Well, that's interesting that you weren't able to find anything. I found a few things. One is kind of a quick note. It's from refinery29.com. And this came out earlier this month. It has a timestamp or a date stamp of October of 2014. So it came out sometime this month. And so if you go to refinery.com, it is we talked about men in paganism and men in the craft, and this particular article is kind of a light treating of witchcraft. And
hang on 1 second. We actually have our first caller in. Hang on. Hello, Deborah. Hang on. We are. Hello, Deborah. Actually, this is a radio show, but you, who is we? Come on over, 8118, apartment 13. Yes, come around the back. Hey, Chris, we have some guests. Would you mind going and getting our guests for our live radio show?
Okay. Oops. Okay, so
evidently we're gonna have live people here, folks. I better put my box down.
Sorry about the mess.
Sorry about the mess. That further. Alrighty, with that, we are going to have a crew come in, everybody. So we're going to interview a lot of people.
I guess so. Anyway, refinery29.com. Their October 2014 article is kind of a light shooting of witchcraft and the men who call themselves witches. It's like a basic skimming over the surface, but it's an interesting read nonetheless.
Leasing office.
Huh?
Leasing office.
Oh, okay. It basically talks about men in the craft, and there's an interview with a guy by the name of Mark Edicio, who is a witch out of Staten Island, New York, and actually has a what do I want to say, a metaphysical shop in Staten Island, New York, with his partner. So anyway, if you're interested in reading his story, it's a one-pager, refinery29.com. 29 is the number 29, so refinery29.com. And so that's going on. It was kind of a throwback to last week. And then we have this is some news out of Tampa Bay, Sarasota, 10 news out of Auburndale, Florida. And again, it's bad news. I wish there was more good news out there regarding us, but it's bad news. A 32-year-old man is in stable condition at the hospital after he was shot by a homeowner he hurled a knife at. Polk Sheriff's deputies say Michael White was found trespassing on 2 properties early Saturday morning by homeowners in an Auburndale neighborhood who feared for their safety after, while armed with a chain and a large knife, he claimed he could talk to animals and spoke of witches. And skipping down a little bit, Michael White stood off of a homeowner's front porch, and Lisa Ring, the homeowner, shouted at him to leave, to which he replied that he belonged on the property because his sister was the lord of the estate. White shouted that his sister was a witch and was burned at the stake on the property, so it belonged to him. He then pulled the knife from his waistband, which police said was 12.5 inches long and double-bladed, and threw it through the screen porch at Lisa Ring's husband, Paul. Well, Paul decided to grab his 12-gauge shotgun and fired and shot White in the arm, who took off running. He was found in the parking lot of a convenience store on Loop Road and was taken to the hospital, where he is in stable condition, and he faces charges of unarmed burglary of occupied dwelling, burglary of unoccupied conveyance, aggravated assault with deadly weapon, and armed trespassing. Now, a couple of things.
Again, this is not what we're about, folks.
Right. Right. That's, I guess, the most important thing. You know, again, to say this is not us. This is a crazy person. This is a person who says his sister was burned at the stake at her property, and the property was hers. And then he pulls out a 12-inch blade,
double bladed too.
Right.
This literally could hurt someone, folks.
Right. So obviously he was crazy, but the thing that I find funny about this story, and I do find it funny, is that it's out of Florida. And you can always count on Florida to bring the foolery and the fuckery. If you ever go online and look up foolery and fuckery, it has a picture of the state of Florida on it. Now, if there's anybody listening that is from this great state of Florida,
my apologies to you for living in that state. I mean, what? Move.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's no secret that Florida brings the fuckery on a daily basis. In fact, I was reading a story just the other day where
Look at who just showed up, honey.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Greetings. Hello.
You're off the spot on the couch.
We are apologizing for our small thing. We have a 1-bedroom, so we're kind of teeny. Welcome to Bitches in the Buckle. We are live tonight, and we also have 2 new guests.
Surprise.
Beth and Deborah Vaughn. So we are going to have a full house tonight, folks. And our apartment, 1 little bedroom, it is a full house. Please do.
So anyway, I was reading a story just the other day on Florida where they said that this lady quit her job as a teacher's assistant to work full time.
Do you say twerk full time or to work?
I said twerk.
Like as in
full time.
Oh my goodness.
As in dip it down low, twerk full time.
She's trying to do Miley Cyrus here.
Apparently, she has 1.2 million followers online, and they actually pay her to travel around the country and twerk full time. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, she's from the great state of Florida. And Florida brought bath salts to the nation's consciousness when that man basically bit off the other man's face.
And Florida is known for killing my dogs. So you know what? That my first dog died there, and I still have memories of that cracked alligator eating that dog. I tell ya.
Right.
Sorry, there goes the northern Minnesota. I tell you, that southern stuff, you just don't know. I apologize ahead of time. I do have a northern accent, and sometimes it just goes right down.
But yes, so anyway, that's what I found funny about this very, very tragic story out of Florida is that they went to Florida to bring the fuckery once again. But before we go in too deeply on Florida, there is actually a story I found online that is right in our backyard. Right here in Oklahoma City. And this is from KFOR.com, and this happened October 1st, I want to say. An Oklahoma City woman is arrested on some truly bizarre claims of child abuse. Officers were called to a home in southeast Oklahoma City after the alleged suspect tried to take the victim to Griffin Memorial Hospital. According to the police affidavit, 49-year-old Geneva Robinson told employees at the hospital that she could not control the girl anymore. The 7-year-old child looked to be malnourished and had numerous burns and bruises across her body. The report says the victim's ankles had cuts around them and were infected. Her wrists had marks which had the appearance of possibly being bound. Authorities say the 7-year-old girl claims Robinson, her grandmother, would dress up as a witch and abuse her. The girl told a DHS worker, Department of Human Services, that's like Child Protective Services around the country, that Robinson would wear a green mask, take her to the garage, bind her wrists at night, and make her sleep on a pair of pants because she was in trouble. The child says the witch's name is Nelda. Nelda would allegedly take a pink dog leash and hang the victim in the middle of the garage underneath her arms and tell the girl the creatures in the attic were going to come and get her. The child also said that she would be hit with an orange and black whip.
Okay, folks, this is not witchcraft. What this person is exhiberating is, and I'm not quite there to the psychology aspect, but I will be someday. It's called multiple personality syndrome, folks, with probably a case of schizophrenia. The lady who's exhiberating this has issues, and she needs to go not to a coven, not because she's not one of us, folks.
Right.
She needs to be locked up and the key thrown away.
Right. The police say the evidence at the scene corroborated what she was saying. There were whips and chains and a witch's hat found there. Just a completely horrible situation for a child to be in.
That is not meant for a child. Sorry.
Well, right. Robinson was booked into the Oklahoma County Jail on a $10,000 bond, and all 4 young kids who lived in the home were placed in police protective custody. So, again, because even though I like to go in on Florida, fuckery and foolery and just plain craziness can be found all over not only the great nation of the United States, but all around the world. In fact, I saw a couple of articles that I wanted to print out and bring this evening, but I chose not to because they were international stories rather than stories that are here in the United States. But suffice it to say, ladies and gentlemen, witches are still being burned at the stake internationally.
They very much are, and that's actually what I looked up. 2011, we had cases of not just burning at the stake, but beheading.
Right.
So this is not something the burning times aren't quite over, folks.
Right.
And I just kind of consider myself blessed to live in a country where I can practice what I want to.
For the most part, yes.
As long as I'm not trying to,
convert
anybody. And you know what? It's like a penis. It's okay for you to have one, but you bring it out and start waving it around, we're going to have issues to talk about, folks.
I've never heard that before. That's hysterical.
That was Betty White.
Oh, okay.
Chris would be hysterical. She's awesome. So tonight, ladies, I don't know if you've heard, we're going to be talking about how Stephen became pagan, but I'm going to throw some questions at you, and we had a couple thrown from John McEwen, so get ready.
Uh-oh.
Well, at this point, since I know we have a little promotion, we have Deborah Vaughn, who I know is a reader as well, sitting with us, as well as what's your name again? I'm so sorry. Beth. I'm so sorry. And Deborah, you guys work together or separately or individually?
Together and separately.
Together and separately. So you guys are like us too.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Steven.
Belching was funny. Farting was funny. Remember that.
But do you have any area that you're promoting right now? Do you have any specials going on where you're at that you'd like to promote on our radio here tonight?
Oh, well, that wasn't my intention. I just.
Hey, we do shameless promotions. We're shameless here. Shameless, I tell you.
Well, we can go to my website at BiBs.com.
There you go, folks. That was W as in Walter.
As in what?
No, Deborah.
DeborahPsychic.com.
No, Debbie is psychic.
Debbie is psychic.com. We are Jeff here, and I've been in school all day, so I'm seeing triangles go through my head. So forgive me ahead of time.
I see you only have water, so you haven't been drinking.
No, it's going on a tangent, literally.
Yeah.
Oh, oh. The
And what
fun
about you? Do you have a website?
No, I don't have a website yet. I haven't set it up. Just
But you can reach her.
you can call her and reach me.
Do you have a Facebook?
Oh yeah, I do.
There you go.
You're on it.
It's Elizabeth. You're on there.
Oh, I am.
Yeah. It's
Elizabeth.
Poe.
Elizabeth Poet on Facebook.com, folks. You're an author too, aren't you?
No,
You
me.
No, that's her.
What books have you written?
I have Talking to Ghosts.
Okay.
That's the main book. I don't even want to talk about the other ones. Okay, but I got Talking to Ghosts.
Okay.
And it's on Amazon.
Okay. Cool.
So, first question. And if you want to do your shameless promotion.
Don't we save those for the end?
No, I think it's right after the area of promotions.
Oh, right on. Well, let's see. Do I have anything to promote right now?
Other than the fact that you are on Ornum.
Yeah, let's go ahead and promote that right now and get that out of the way because both of us are actually on Ornum. If you go to ornum.com and look up Third Eyesight, that's third with the number 3, so it would be 3RD Eyesight. That is actually my page, Third Eyesight, from Ornum.com, and Ornum is spelled ORANUM.com, and you can get readings from me there. If not tonight, then definitely starting tomorrow night, my office hours will be 11 p.m. That's 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Most days of the week. I am a night owl, so I will be up, and I'm happy to answer your questions at ornum.com. 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Look for Third Eyesight. It's 3RD Eyesight, and that will be me.
And I am Drayson Jade. Or should I be unexpected? I would be going by. Usually I have the free chat kind of rumbling with sarcasm and laughter because usually I get those people asking for a free reading. My smart assy answer
Magic
is
8 Ball.
Magic 8 Ball. The Outlook, you may rely on it, or Outlook Hazy. And so there's their free readings because one of the few things is they try to test you. I don't mind being tested, but I've already been tested to get on Ornum, and I got tested 3 times at Opera. Yeah. To go through 5 tests for that one.
It happens.
It's good.
How do you spell Drayson?
Dracen. And Jade like the stone. Jade.
So Third Eyesight, 3RD Eyesight, and Drayson Jade, DRACEN Jade. We're both at ornum.com. What are your hours? Do you have set hours?
Mine are kind of sporadic right now with school. Unfortunately, school comes first. My grades play down. But once the fall break and winter break comes on, it will be from 5 until midnight, folks. Most days of the week. So, but school's first.
School's first.
I've got to granulate, and I will be graduating in May.
Yay! And she can use her degree to ask if people want to supersize.
Would you like to supersize that? Well, yes, it is going to be in general studies, but that's only because financial aid is hounding down my tush, and then I'm going to go back and finish my computer science degree so that way I can take over the world. I mean...
Thinking in the rain style.
Yes.
All right. Then let's move on.
Moving on. So, first question, how did you become pagan? What brought you to paganism?
Wow. Well, I've been thinking about that, and I've been this week, and I've been thinking about, since we decided to do this, what I wanted to share and what I didn't want to share, and what parts of my story are interesting and what parts of my story or downright boring. I came to paganism when I was when I came back home. We have someone else at the door.
Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Evidently, the radio show aspect became a TV show, and now we've got 3 on the couch and another chair. Hey, Daniel, what's going on? And we have an army guy in the room now. We are safe.
You are safe, and we're getting kind of grounded up in here.
I'm not really sorry. This is kind of comical.
This is kinda cool.
And my cats are probably like, what the heck is going on? We're out of here.
I'm gonna go out to the car and get the holy shirt out.
That might be a grand idea, my dear.
Who's gonna show up?
That is
What is that?
my major. I can't speak on behalf of me being a military member unless I go to public affairs first.
I am so sorry.
And it's close.
I disregard that. He's not part of the military.
Scratch that. Erase.
Go to that guy.
Look at this.
Go to that guy.
He just
laughed.
So anyway, let's
Here
see.
comes Superman.
Let's see. My story. I had just come home from living in New York for 5 years. I lived in New York, and I was pursuing a career in entertainment. I am a musician at heart. I will always be a musician. Anyway, I had given myself 5 years to make it as a musician, and I had to come home after those 5 years were over with my tail between my legs, and I thought my life was over. And then I turned 30, and I really thought my life was over because nothing good happens after 30, apparently.
Nobody can trust you after 30. That's,
Well, and your life is pretty much over after 30.
and that is why I'm still 29 3 times.
Forever. And so that was depressing. And then I went through a dark night of the soul. And this is the part that I can't talk too deeply about because I do believe that some things are personal and private. But it basically took me an entire year to come out of that dark night of the soul. And at the end of that year, I had a dream, and this is the really cool part. Sometimes spirit speaks to me through dreams, and I really, and even when I was a child, spirit would speak through. I keep on saying spirit would speak through me. Spirit speaks to me through my dream life, and the dream that I had, which is kind of a cool dream. I dreamt that I was back in New York City, but instead, and when I usually when I dream in first person, so I can't see myself. And usually when I dream as if I'm watching a movie. So I'm actually outside of the action most of the time, but I'm watching what's going on. If I'm watching myself. It's like it's third person, but it's first person. I'm watching myself on a screen, but I can't see myself. It's like
You're a first-person shooter kind of game.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was going for. First-person shooter game.
Although you're not shooting anything.
So most of the time, right? So anyway, but this time I dreamt in the third person, and I actually saw myself. But myself was actually Samantha from Bewitched. I looked exactly like Samantha from Bewitched. I had the blonde hair, I had the pretty eyes, I could wiggle my nose and nothing would happen because witches really don't have that power. Anyway, I dreamt that I had, instead of being a musician, I dreamt that I had a metaphysical shop, bookstore slash metaphysical shop, and it was near closing time. And I had a cat, black cat, of course, that was my watcher. And so the cat jumps off of his perch on top of a bookshelf and hops onto my shoulder, and I lock everything up. And I'm walking down the street in Manhattan. Now, the thing about Manhattan is, you can, you're never really alone in Manhattan. You never walk down a street and only you be on the street. There's always, either millions or at least thousands of people with you. And so I dreamt that I was walking down the street and there were millions of people around me, but I felt a presence behind me. And so I stopped and I turned, and there was nobody there except for people just walking past me. I thought, oh, that's weird, and I kept on walking, and I felt this presence again, stopped again, turned, no one was there. Kept on walking, turned the corner, and turned the corner again, and so basically I went around the corner. So I made 2 right turns. So I went around the corner to the back of the building, and the back of the building faced a huge wood. It was almost as if the back of my building was right next to Central Park. Like hitting up against it.
Cool.
Although it wasn't Central Park, it was just this huge, gigantic wood area. And my apartment was behind the bookstore. That's why I had to make 2 right turns to get to my apartment, because I couldn't get to it through the bookstore. And when I stepped on my steps to go up into my apartment, I felt the presence again. And so what I did was I turned around and started walking into the woods, and I said to my watcher, I whispered to my watcher, "Go get help." My watcher jumped off my shoulder and ran off into the woods, like to the east or something like that. And I started walking faster and faster. I still felt this presence behind me, and I come to this clearing. And it's a huge clearing, and it's perfectly circular. And so at the mouth of the clearing, there's this big wooden stick, and I grabbed the stick and I mumble something, and I to this day I do not know what I mumbled, but I walked the perimeter of the circle while I was mumbling. It was probably some kind of chant or incantation of some sort. And it created a force field. And I kept on drawing circles within the circle while I was mumbling. And all of a sudden, I felt this huge wave of energy rushing up against the perimeter of the clearing. But I created this force field, and it just hit it like that. Boom! And it was shaking. But I kept my focus, I kept mumbling and kept circling, and I just, and while I was mumbling and circling and mumbling and drawing circles in the sand or circles in the ground, I kept on mumbling this incantation or chant, and this entity, which had now taken on the form of a shadowy man of some sort. Because I kind of looked up through my peripheral vision, I could see the shadow of a man, and I started banging, and he started banging on this force field, and he said, "You can't keep me out forever." And then I woke up, and that may seem scary, but number one, I've never been afraid of witches. I've always thought witches were cool. Even my first experience with witches was The Wizard of Oz, and I wasn't afraid of either the Wicked Witch or Glinda. I was afraid of the wizard. And
You're right.
yeah, and so I was never afraid of it but it took me on this journey. I was like, wow, I wonder what this means. You know, what does this dream mean? Because like I've said before, Spirit has talked to me through dreams my entire life and continues to do so. And so I started asking around and researching. And I went to a couple of coven meetings here in town that Becca runs. And I discovered quickly that I wasn't a coven person. I work better on my own. But anyway, that started my journey. And while I like to call myself a solitary, because I'm so busy within the community nowadays, I'm no longer solitary. There used to be a time where all I did was read and study and practice magic on my own. Now, there's a community, a safe place within the community for everyone to come and worship together. So, yeah, so that's my story.
Oh, wow. Any questions that you guys might have for him?
Did you ever figure out the meaning of the dream?
No, I think it was more. At this point, I think it was more. Okay, you really need to study paganism and witchcraft now. This is what you need to do now with your life because you're more powerful than you think you are. Because, like I had said, I had just come out of a really, really bad year. I mean, a year where, you know, I could have easily checked out, you know, either mentally or physically checked out. And I think it was the universe saying, okay, this is where you need to be right now. So
Now, Alyssa had a question for you, and the question is, how do you explain your faith to non-pagan folk? Especially when you kind of get the look of, what are you?
I always say that that my faith is earth-based. We respect and nurture and are kind to the earth. And not only that, but we respect, nurture, and are kind to one another. We do not spend a lot of time in unnecessary judgment of people. The other part of my story is I of course come from a Protestant background. I grew up a Seventh-day Adventist, but and this is part of my psychic ability as well. I always talked to God, and God would talk back to me as if we're talking right now. So I would carry on conversations, but my mom and dad never told me, oh, imaginary friends aren't real. So I never, no one ever told me, oh, stop talking to yourself. No one ever told me, you know, oh, imaginary friends aren't real, or what you're hearing isn't real. You know, instead it was encouraged, or at least tolerated. And so I would have conversations with God, much like we're talking this evening. And I knew from a very early age that I'm gay. And I fought for as long as I could. And I grew up in the Adventist system. For those of you that are listening and don't know, the Adventist system, you can go from kindergarten all the way through graduate school in the Adventist system and never have to set foot in a public school. And so that's what I did. From kindergarten through undergraduate, you know, I have my bachelor's degree from a Seventh-day Adventist college, you know, four-year liberal arts college. And so I was deep into the Adventist mindset, deep into the Adventist Protestant way of thinking. But at the same time, I knew I was gay, and Adventists, by and large, toe the conservative line when it comes to gay and lesbian folk, and queer folk in general. And so God and I had a conversation when I was 22, and I had just graduated from college, and I said, look, I love you. I want to have a relationship with you, but I'm also gay. And if me being gay means that we can no longer be friends, then, we have to part ways. And God and I, and God said, well, let's just work it out. And so at that point, I stopped being a Christian. And I went on this long, winding journey of, discovering all different kinds of faiths. And I probably would, I discovered this book, The Tao of Pooh by Benjamin somebody. I forget his name, but Benjamin Moore, I want to say. But if you Google The Tao of Pooh, Tao of Pooh, it basically describes Taoism from the viewpoint of Winnie the Pooh. And I've heard that books can change your life, and up until that point, I really didn't believe it. But once I read that book, it completely changed my life. And I probably would be a Taoist to this day, except for Taoism really does not, the argument can be made that Taoism doesn't have an emphasis on social justice. It doesn't have an emphasis on maintaining and preserving the earth. It doesn't have all of those emphasize maybe that other religions do. And so I probably would be a Taoist to this day if it weren't for that. And also, so bringing it back around, when people ask me what I am, I say I am a pagan. I usually don't tell people I'm a witch, only because witch brings up
Negative.
so many different things. I mean, we talked about those two stories that I read earlier. I usually don't tell people I'm a witch, even though I'm proud to be a witch. But at the same time, I say I'm pagan. What does that mean? We're earth-based. We love, nurture, and are kind to the earth, and we love, nurture, and are kind to one another. And we don't spend a lot of time in judgment, and we take on personal power, and we take on personal responsibility. So that's what I tell people, the long story.
Now, another question, I'm going to open this up to the other readers here. When you deal with past life regressions, and definitely past life readings, sometimes you get kind of a past life where it hits someone in the face, like with my past life story where I woke up with a battle axe kind of swinging at my face. But how do you put someone at ease when you're dealing with past lives, like some that can be pretty aggressive, or some that lead to people to crying? How do you put people at ease when they deal with that?
I personally don't deal in past life. I feel like I specialize in mediumship and the psychic and what's going on and what's troubling them right now, and how to get past that. Although I'm sure there are things that brought them to this point. It just, in that hour, we do so much.
Oh yeah. Thanks so much.
I don't deal with past lives much either.
Me neither.
Well,
But I will say,
where we go?
He's trying to tell you something.
I did it once for a friend. She cried, but she wanted to know. It's not my place to try, and if they ask, I'll do my best. I've only done it once because I honestly don't feel comfortable doing it. And it felt a little dangerous and like I was invading. When I said something that set her off, I'm not going to go into what, but she wasn't happy. And I just kind of backed away.
Let it be.
I can't. I suck at comforting people anyway, so I told her I'm sorry, and that's really all I could do, and I haven't tried ever again.
well, I know that with me, in my own spiritual journey, past life regressions happen. I've never done a past life regression. When I am deep into spirit, past lives pop up in flashes, and I get um, messages from past lives, but it's not as if I go from a journey from birth to death in any of it. It's generally when I'm in a really, really deep conversation with someone about spiritual matters, or I'm in a deep meditative state on my own, and that scenes from past lives just flash. And that's why I know, as an aside, that's why I know that this is my first go around as a man. So there you go.
Next question is, how do you unwind and ground after an intense session of reading, or like sometimes you get the intense sessions when you're guiding people through meditation, and it's just for you, it's intense energy drawing wise. There's a lot of cases where sometimes the reading can be pulling, and sometimes you just get that person who's just a jerk. And there's no other term, and I'm PGing that down right down to the ground, but there's no other term to put it. They can be just an asshole.
Right.
How do you first off, how do you unwind after something like that, and then what do you do to ground?
Well, that depends on the situation. I've never had an asshole show up at my front desk or my front door asking for a reading. Although, sidebar, I just had my first reading with someone that fell asleep through half of it. Literally fell asleep through half of it. He came in drowsy, and I had to shake him a couple of times that make him snap back to. Anyway.
Did you say to him, did you get all that?
Well, and I asked him a couple of times, do you want to reschedule this? Because you seem awfully tired. He's like, no, go ahead. And so I would do it, and then I would look up again, and he'd be just nodding off again. It happened like 3 or 4 different times, and so finally, I just kind of, because he had some things going on that he needed specific guidance that wasn't just a tarot reading, and so I wrote them down for him and said, "Here,
Read it when you're awake.
Right, take it home, read it, do what I say."
Here's your notes.
Here are your notes. There will be a
Notes.
test on it next week.
The notes in your life.
Right. And I told him to show up in a month and see if it worked, and so I hope if nothing else he gets a good night's sleep.
Oh gosh, he drove home, didn't he?
He actually had somebody drive in there and pick him up, so thank God. Exactly.
You were saying?
As far as grounding, I make sure to ground at the beginning of the day. Like if we're doing a fair, like opera or a spirit fair or other fairs, I make sure to ground at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. Usually that works. If in a fair situation, I have had it happen a couple of times where someone paid me money just to prove me wrong, which I find fascinating. It's like, money is so hard to come by. Why would you pay someone to disprove them? But anyway, I've had that a couple of times, and when that happens, I usually walk away from my desk. If I can go outside, I know that the spirit fairs here in town, they have a nice little courtyard that you can go and walk outside. The opera fairs here in town, you can actually just walk even downstairs. And so I separate myself from that situation, and I mentally grounding is very hard to explain verbally, but I take in. It's like taking in deep breaths and counting to 10. You know, if anyone has ever told you if when you're angry or upset to count to deep breath and count to 10 in between each breath, it's sort of like that, you know. 1, you know, and by the time you get to 10, you're lightheaded. And usually that lightheadedness leads to a feeling of
Euphoria.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, I can deal with this now. And so that's what I do in those situations. I walk away, take deep breaths, you know, count. And as far as grounding, when I'm in a fair situation, I do it always at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day.
Well, that's all the questions that they had.
Oh.
Well, all the questions I could get.
Oh.
I tried to pull teeth, but they didn't want to give me any teeth either. So.
Okay.
Well,
I thought that John would have.
You know, a couple more odd questions, but you know, those are the 2 were from the grounding, and what you do for the past lives were actually pretty good. Those were actually from John himself. Now, my question is, how long have you been doing guided meditation?
I have been doing guided meditations seriously since probably. It's interesting how the universe works. I've been wanting to do guided meditations with other people for years now, but the timing was never right. And in fact, my housemate and I had a conversation about that this morning. About, you know, timing is everything. You may have the best idea ever, but sometimes the universe is still in the background saying, okay, you need to wait while I put things in motion and put things in place so that, and now you can do it. You know, so I've been wanting to do it for years, but and in fact I've had a couple of false starts in the last 3 or 4 years. I've had a couple of false starts where I've tried to start guided meditations with groups of people, and for one reason or another they have not yielded results. But this last time, working at the Labyrinth Temple here in town, since May, doing it every 2 weeks, it's really taken off, and it's really helping. I'm hoping that it's helping a lot of people. So this time is the right time for it. So I've been doing it every 2 weeks since May.
Do any of you guys do guided meditations at all? Have you tried them?
I don't do
Have
them.
you been to one of theirs?
Huh?
Have you been to one of his?
No,
I have not. I think because we have I think when he does them, we're having the Thursday night, the psychic discussion meetup group.
Oh, I think that
I
Wednesday
do it on Wednesday nights.
On Wednesday night. Oh, we're
That's
doing
why
we're
that's
doing
why we
another
switched the other
deal.
Right.
I was gonna say, because he's got the Barry Manilow voice going down when it comes to his guided meditation.
Very soothing for meditation.
And no wonder he had the person falling asleep, because it's very relaxing. If you don't meditate, you'll at least have a good. But last but not least is next week. Do you have any ideas of what you'd like to have for next week's?
Well, we've heard Mrs. story, we've heard my story. Now it's time to hear your story.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
You ladies would like to come back, you're more than welcome to.
Well,
Sit
we
on our
appreciate
comfy
that.
couch. Sit on our comfy couch.
Let's see. Is there anything else that we need to talk about this evening?
I think this evening we've pretty much rocked it. It's not as long as well, actually we've kind of met it. We started at 7, we're up to 8. We've kind of rocked it again.
Yeah, so
I mean, this is a pretty good. I mean, we're going an hour and a half almost for our first first couple an hour to an hour and a half. I think we're, this is our second session, y'all, so it is a little rough around the edges. And we have a live audience here, folks, tonight. Wasn't fully intended, but hey, you know what? Anything that goes off perfectly without a scratch, what can you say?
It would be boring.
It would be boring. Life would be boring with it if anything went off perfectly. I mean, yeah, I'd be bored to tears.
So I guess we need to shamelessly plug ourselves, right? And then say goodnight, right?
Goings on in the community.
Going-ons in the community?
Yes. Goings-on in the community. This Saturday, the Oklahoma Witch Hat Society, if you're in the Oklahoma City area, Oklahoma City Witch Hat Society from 3 to 6 is doing a scrying class. And it is at the Church of the Open Arms at 30th and Penn, or 31st and Penn. I'm going to try and go to that. I encourage you to do the same. So that's happening in the community. Also that same evening, if you have a penis and testicles, you are invited to come to Caritas, which is the men's spirituality group. Chris and Tony are doing the ritual that night, and we will be eating lots of meat and eating lots of manly meals, and we'll be doing ritual that evening, and it's strictly for men. So if you know of anyone that would like to come to that, by all means have them Facebook friend me, or
leave a message below in the notes here.
Or comment in the notes below, or friend me on Facebook, or like my page, Traveling Tarot, the Traveling Tarot. So it's facebook.com/the Traveling Tarot, and send me a message via Facebook, or again, leave a note at the bottom of this page, and I will get back in contact with you to let you know where you can, what you need to do to join the group this Saturday night. And that's the Saturday night from 7 until we are done.
Well, and that's the 18th, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
That is the 18th. Both of those things are on the 18th.
Well, for those who do not have a penis, and
Or
those or testicles, and are still kind of interested, I do know that Bell's Mystical Beginnings on the 18th from 7 to 8 p.m. is doing an advanced altar setup for the Minor Sabbaths class, which should be interesting. They are working on getting their new store set up in Norman on looks like 529 East Main, and that is open. I'm not sure if there is a fee. If all spells, you can hit them up on their Facebook and find out what's going down.
BiBs will be at the opening.
BiBs will be at the opening,
Yes.
and do not ask us what BiBs means. We will not tell you in public. We will tell, but we will tell you in public. It means beautiful in the buckle. Beauties in the buckle.
Beauties in the buckle.
That's only in the public eye when we're out face first.
Right, and that's only if the person that is hosting the event requires that of us. Otherwise, we will go by bitches in the buckle.
I would have bought the T-shirt if you.
Yeah, we're gonna be making them. We're gonna be having T-shirts, folks.
I will be wearing the T-shirt.
Yeah, we actually we do have our Facebook on. Please check us out on our Facebook. We do have Bitches in the Buckle on Facebook, and we'll be putting our next week's show there. And we're going to be working on our show, which has our Oklahoma logo and coexist on it in rainbow colors, because we coexist with everybody, folks. Right. And if anybody wants to look at me up, I am claw-writings.com. And I have not been blogging the last week, but this week I will be posting the winner of the Participate to win a drawing, win a reading. So,
you can find me at travelingtorow.com, and that's travelingtorow, TAROT.com. And at the bottom of each page, you will find buttons that will lead you to all my social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Pinterest. I'm everywhere online, so you'll find buttons that will lead you to all my social media online. Feel free to say hello to me. And you can also book private one-on-one sessions with me at travelingtorow.com as well.
Excellent. And with that being said, we want to go ahead and say thank you for tuning in to Bitches in the Buckle. We'll see you again next week. Here on the same bat time,
Same bat channel.